Welcome to the Mountain Guides. They operate 5 mountain guiding companies in the American West. The Mountain Guides of Utah, the Mountain Guides of Red Rock, the Mountain Guides of Montana, the Mountain Guides of Colorado. Their flagship operation in Jackson Hole is based in Jackson and leading trips all over the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains. Join their custom mountain adventures led by experienced guides in the iconic destinations. For more information, log on to themountainguides.com.
This is one of my sons. Actually, I have 3 sons, and they all love sausage and peppers. Who doesn't like sausage and peppers? It's an old Italian dish from southern Italy. I mean, first we have beautiful sausage that I source in Vermont, and I like to mix them up. I like to do a little chorizo, a little garlic and onion, a little andouille. So I've fried these sausages up, browned them up, and now I'm just going to cut them into thirds, which is fine. And yeah, these sausages are, they don't have to be completely cooked because you're going to cook them again with the peppers. But you got to get them at least, eventually they have to be at 160 degrees so that they're completely cooked. And right along next to them, I'm sauteing some onions and peppers, mixed yellow and red peppers, and some nice Vidalia onions. And we're going to saute those up. This is a recipe that I taught my son Gus how to make after he learned how to make scrambled eggs, because it's so super easy. You really pretty much, the chopping is really what takes the most time. So luckily I did that before. So these peppers and onions, you kind of want to soften them up. And I added in here a little bit of garlic, a little basil, oregano. Actually, I'm going to put the fresh basil at the end, a little hot red pepper flakes, and then I'm going to take these sausages and put them right in. Hopefully I won't spill them all over the floor. Oh yes, here we go. So, now another thing with this dish is you can actually, if you're a vegetarian, you can use a meat alternative sausage. I mean, I'll go ahead and plug Beyond Beef, but it's actually a good meat alternative that when I make this for our company, Jackson Hole Mountain Guides, because this is also a meal that can be made and frozen and keeps really well in the freezer. And actually, the only way we can cook food at altitude at our high camp is to steam it. So since this is a very saucy meal, you have white wine and roasted tomatoes, it keeps well in the freezer. So I added those sausages in with the peppers and the spices. Now I'm going to put in a little bit of white wine from a box. I didn't know wine came in a box, but it does. I'm going to put in probably a cup of wine. And then I'm going to add some roasted tomatoes in there to make a nice sauce. Mix that in and kind of let that cook down, because the sausages are pretty much cooked through, but you still need to make sure that they're completely cooked. Okay, I'll turn the heat up a little bit on that. And while that's cooking, I'm going to add the basil later. I'm going to take these roasted vegetables. Now I've basically prepared some Brussels sprouts, halved and cut the tops off, and some fresh carrots. This time of year, these vegetables are so sweet that you could basically eat them raw, but I'm going to give them a little bit of a roast. And when I make this for, you could also do this at home, but when I make this for the mountains, we don't usually have 2 different dishes. So I usually roast these first, and then I add them actually into the sausage and peppers, which is not what they do in the original dish, but it just gives it gives more vegetables to it. So I'm going to stick these in the oven. And they've been tossed with salt and pepper on parchment paper, which is my best friend in the kitchen, because it kind of keeps your pans cleaner after everything's cooked and from things sticking. So I'm going to stick those in there for about 20 minutes at about 400 degrees. And then I'm going to stir these sausages, see how they're doing. They look delicious. I'm going to taste a little bit of the sauce. It looks like it needs a little bit more wine. You could also add in a little broth, because I really love having the sauce. And our guides just love this meal because it's hearty. It's comfort food. Okay, so the sauce is thickening up really nicely. I just added a little bit more tomato paste, a little bit more broth, wine. Now I'm gonna add in some freshly chopped basil, because that always makes everything taste good, and this time of year basil is everywhere. And everybody's gonna be happy with this, especially my guide. I have one guide on the mountain at our company who's actually Italian, and he said, this tastes just like my grandmother's recipe. So everybody should have a recipe that tastes like their grandmother's recipe, don't you think? And this is particularly good with samurai bread that we'll have a little bit later, dipping it in. We're gonna serve this with some pasta and the roasted vegetables that are almost done. All right, sausage and peppers. I'm gonna taste it. Final taste test, let's see. Delicious, not too spicy. Then I'm gonna check my vegetables that I put in the oven. Roasted vegetables. Oh yeah, they're all ready to go. And you can roast any kind of vegetables, but today I did Brussels sprouts and carrots. And I'm just gonna serve those on the side, but if you wanted to pack in more vegetables and freeze this, you could actually throw some of this right into the sausage and peppers, which is what we do for Jacksonville Mountain Guides. And everybody loves the extra vegetables. Okay, got a little gluten-free pasta to go with the sausage and peppers, ready to go. And of course, I can't think of a meal without my famous samurai bread that I actually took out of the freezer. This particular loaf has some sage leaves on it from the garden, which gives it a nice flavor. And you can keep it in your freezer wrapped in foil and then stick it in the oven at 350 for about 15 minutes, and it's just like a fresh loaf. And I'm also going to show you a very special, easy dipping sauce with olive oil, balsamic, and make sure you get the thick balsamic, the kind that it's not watery, but a really thick one. This one is made in Denver, Colorado. It's called 7 Barrels, and I found this at a street market, and this is red apple flavored, so delicious. So I'm just going to pour a little of this olive oil in a plate. I'm actually making this for my son's wedding in September. We're going to have loaves of samurai bread and this beautiful balsamic apple vinaigrette, and then a little bit of red pepper flakes on top on every table. And I just have to taste it because it's just so amazing. That crunch, flax seeds and chia, you can see. My favorite is the crust. Anyway, a little of that. Apple, and then dipping it in the sausage and peppers. You're gonna love it. So we live next to a blueberry and apple farm in Vermont, and it's owned by old family friends, and one of the things that they were famous for is this blueberry buckle recipe that is just so amazing, especially now when the blueberries are fresh. And it's really just one bowl. I mean, you can make it gluten-free also if you want it, and dairy-free, but it's basically a lot of blueberries and a lot of love. So I'm gonna try to cut into this. It only takes about 30 minutes to make. And I'm going to cut into it. It actually is it's good anytime. You could even eat it for breakfast, but look at all those blueberries. Oh my God. Look at that blueberry buckle. Ivy Darrow, yeah, she had this orchard. Actually, you can pick your own blueberries and apples. So I would highly recommend a trip to Green Mountain Orchards, especially if you've never had a cider donut. But we're going to focus on the blueberries now. A little bit of vanilla ice cream on top. I don't know how you could go wrong. Maybe 2 scoops. Oh yeah. All right, blueberry buckle and vanilla ice cream. Oh my gosh, I wish my boys were here, because if they were, they would be eating this in about 2 seconds flat. We have our beautiful mountain high sausage and peppers, which will keep in your freezer or just make it fresh to serve with my samurai bread and the balsamic and olive oil dipping sauce. And to top it off, a homemade blueberry buckle. You can get this recipe on my website, Okanos Kitchen. It's a very simple, just flour, eggs, freshly picked blueberries. I actually can't wait to take a bite myself, so I'm going to take a bite right now. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Mountain Guides. They operate 5 mountain guiding companies in the American West. The Mountain Guides of Utah, the Mountain Guides of Red Rock, the Mountain Guides of Montana, the Mountain Guides of Colorado. Their flagship operation in Jackson Hole is based in Jackson and leading trips all over the high peaks of the Rocky Mountains. Join their custom mountain adventures led by experienced guides in the iconic destinations. For more information, log on to themountainguides.com.